Hello, folks. Welcome to this Form 1 mathematics lesson centered around algebraic fractions and equations. This is presented by Spark. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that you can keep on receiving latest recordings when they're ready. The objectives of this session are to deal with fractions where we find LCM of algebraic denominators, add and subtract algebraic fractions, simplify algebraic fractions to lowest terms, and for equations, what we are interested in definition and identification of an equation, distinguishing between an equation and an expression, and identifying the unknown within equation. Also solving simple linear equations using balance method as well as change sign, change side rule method. Also relating equations to real life scenarios. Now let's have a look at these basic examples we have. We are given algebraic fractions. This is an algebraic fraction because it contains letters and variables. So numbers multiplying letters, for instance, these two here, we call it a coefficient. So I've got two variables here, which is x and y. We call them variables because their values are not known, so they can vary. So moving on, these are steps that we follow if we want to add or subtract algebraic fractions. First, we want to find LCM of the denominators. So we convert fractions to have the same denominator, then we add or subtract numerators. Then we do the simplification. Then next, when we're talking about equations, what we want to show is expressions being two of them, they should be equal. So in other words, there are two expressions separated by an equality sign. So an expression has no equal signs, just a combination of terms. When we say combination of terms, you are adding or subtracting a term or a coefficient in a variable. Now, when we are dealing with equations, we use a balance method. In other words, we are saying what is to be done to one side must also be done on the other side, because there's an equality sign which brings about balancing. So we treat the equation like a balance scale. Then when we talk about the change sign rule, when a term crosses the equal sign, each sign it changes as well. So we can see here, we've got an equation x plus 5 equal to 12. We want the 5 to unite with the 12. So it's going to cross the equal sign. Because it was initially positive, when it crosses, it changes its sign from positive to negative. So that is the change sign rule method. Now we are going through these equations, these problems together. There are 10 of them. First one, we are interested in LCM of algebraic denominators. I'm given two terms here. The first one is 3x, the other one is 6x. So what we'll do is we start by dealing with the coefficients, which is 6 and 3. So the smallest number divisible by both is 6. And for the variables, what we'll do is we look at the degree. The degree here is 1 is 1. So what's our interest is to take the variable, which is common, then we take the smallest degree. So for this, because they are equal 1 in 1, the LCM is going to be 6x. So let's move on. When we are adding algebraic fractions, let's see, here our denominators are the same. In other words, that's the LCM. So we are going to have the common denominator x. Then we simply simplify the numerators as 2 plus 3, giving us a 5. Next, we are interested in subtraction of algebraic fractions. Again, if we check, our denominator here is made up of the same variable in degree, implying that it's going to be our LCM, or common denominator, y. So we simply simplify the numerators. We will be saying 5 minus 2, giving us 3. Then next, we'll move on to different denominators. And here we are given a guide that when we look at those two, because the coefficient is 1 and 2, then the LCM is going to be 2, as we are shown there. Then for x and x, the smallest degree is actually 1, so we have x. In other words, when I come here, my common denominator is 2x. And what do? I can divide 2x by x first, it gives me 2 times 1, then there will be 2. Plus when I divide 2x by 2x, it gives me 1 times 1 there, I get a 1. So finally, I'll end up having 3 over 2x as my sum of those two fractions. Now here we want to simplify fractions. What we'll do is we look for HCF, which simplifies is both on the numerator and on the denominator. So if I check here, I've got 4 and 8, and these are multiples of 4, meaning 4 is our HCF. So when I divide numerator by 4, I get 1. I divide denominator by 4, I get 2. So in essence, I'm going to have a fraction 1 over 2. But I have x on the numerator, x on the denominator to cancel. So it simplifies as to 1 over 2. Then next I want to define the unknown. I've got an equation here in 3a plus 5, or 3a plus 5, the result is 14. The unknown actually is a, that's the value that you're looking for. Now, next we want to deal with an equation. Here we want to use the balance method. So when we are using the balance method, in other words, we are saying whatever we do to one side, we also do to the other side. So I've got x plus 4, but I'm looking for x, so I want to get rid of 4, and on the right side, I also get rid of 4. So it's a balance. Whatever I did on one side, just to appear on both sides. So when I say 4 minus 4, that part gives me a 0. So I end up with x plus 0, that's x. The other side is 10 minus 4, giving me 6. So the value of x, which satisfies that equation actually, is x equal to 6. Then the change side rule, what are we saying here? I'm interested in x, so first these 3 has to change the side. So when it crosses the equal sign, it is going to combine with 7, but the rule says when it changes, it also changes this sign. It was initially negative, it becomes positive. And when I simplify the right side, 7 plus 3 to give me 10, I'll divide both sides by 2 so that I end up having the x value, which will be 5. Then next I want to build an equation out of a word problem. I think of a number. So the moment I don't know that number, I'm going to use letters like x, y, z. But the basic one is normally x. So think of a number, then I add 5. Then the result that I get is 12. In other words, I've managed to formulate the equation, which will help me to find the unknown x. So moving on to the last question. It's a complex equation, but I mean, we are going to use the same steps where we are saying this 4 is to change side, and we'll use change side, change sign method. So when it crosses, we remain with 3x, and the other side will be having 19. But initially it was positive. When it crosses, it becomes negative. So we end up having 3x equal to 19 minus 4, giving us 15. Then I'll divide both sides by 3, and here it cancels. So actually my x will be 5. I think that's it, folks, for the introduction to algebraic fractions as well as equations. So remember to subscribe, sign, and like the channel to help it grow. Bye for now.